Have you ever had a single moment, just one sentence, completely shatter the way you see someone you love? Not a fight. Not a betrayal. Not a lie. Just words. Careless, unaware, devastating words. That's exactly what happened to this girl. And honestly, the more I read her story, the more I understood why she just couldn't get over it. So grab your coffee, settle in, because this one is going to hit different. Our storyteller is a 24-year-old elementary school teacher. Sweet job, right? She spends her days surrounded by kids, books, and learning, and outside of work she has a deep love for reading and literature. Her boyfriend is 25, working towards becoming an English professor. They actually met at a literary convention, which is honestly probably the most fitting origin story for two people this deeply into books. They have been together just over a year. And by all accounts, it was a genuinely good relationship. No major fights. No red flags. He was communicative, considerate, and openly affectionate, not just with her, but even with people he didn't particularly like. He was the kind of person who always gave others the benefit of the doubt and avoided speaking badly about anyone. She describes him as one of the most emotionally aware people she had ever dated. So when everything fell apart, it wasn't because of something she expected. It wasn't anything she could have prepared for. To really understand this story, you need to understand where she came from. Growing up, she struggled with her weight. For most of her life, right up until she was around 20 years old, she was on the heavier side. And she is not just talking a little bit. She is talking about the kind of weight that quietly shapes your entire life. Your confidence. Your relationships. The way strangers look at you. The opportunities you feel like you deserve. It affected everything. Then during her sophomore year of college, something happened. She describes it as a dramatic event involving a group of girls and a prank. She doesn't go into full detail, but whatever it was the moment she realized with complete clarity just how much her weight was affecting the way the world treated her. And she decided, enough. Over the next 2 years, she lost 100 pounds. 100 pounds. And it wasn't just the weight. She changed her style. Her haircut. Her hair color. The way she did her makeup. She rebuilt herself inside and out. She also changed a large portion of the people in her life, letting go of toxic friendships and environments that no longer served who she was becoming. By the time she stepped into the next chapter of her life, she was essentially unrecognizable compared to who she had been. And that's important. Remember that. Because almost everyone in her current life only knows the version of her that exists today. The weight loss isn't something she brings up in conversations. It's not something she advertises. It's her past, and she had made peace with keeping it there. Or so she thought. So here is where the story really begins. An old college friend came to visit for the weekend. This wasn't just any friend. This was her roommate throughout all of college. Someone who had literally been there for every single moment of her transformation. The good, the bad, the painful, the triumphant. This woman had a front row seat to all of it. Her boyfriend was excited to finally hear college stories, because our storyteller doesn't really talk much about that time in her life. So naturally, he was curious, asking questions, soaking up every detail. At some point the conversation turned to a dance competition the two friends had won early in their sophomore year, which if you are doing the math, was right around the time of that pivotal event. Right around the beginning of her transformation. Meaning in that video, she looked the way she used to look. The roommate, swept up in nostalgia, scrolled back through years and years of her camera roll and pulled up the video. Now our storyteller was in the kitchen at this point, finishing cleaning up after dinner. She wasn't sitting with them. She didn't know exactly what was being shown. She only walked out into the room when the video was already playing. And the first thing she saw was her boyfriend's face. She saw it recoil. In disgust. And then she heard him say it. He pointed at the screen and asked, casually, without a second thought, the one next to the humpback? The roommate froze. She looked up from the phone, looked at our storyteller standing in the doorway, and her face went pale with shock and horror. She told him no. And then quietly pulled the phone away. Our storyteller walked forward, looked her boyfriend in the eye, and told him calmly that Humpback was me. The room went silent. His face collapsed. The color drained out of it. He started apologizing immediately, saying he had no idea, that he would never speak like that about her, that he was so sorry. She told him simply, "You just did." And then she asked him to leave for the night. He left, still apologizing. Her roommate apologized too, clearly devastated that she had unknowingly set this in motion. And once the door closed, she cried. Most of the night. The next morning, he showed up at her door before she could even finish her daily run. He had flowers. He had coffee. He was apologizing again, telling her she was the most beautiful girl he knew. She told him it was fine. But it wasn't. And here is the thing about emotional wounds. Sometimes the ones that come from the people closest to us don't bleed right away. They just settle in. Quietly. And then you start to feel them in every small interaction. She started pulling away. Not dramatically. Not in a way she even fully planned. But the warmth that used to come so naturally, it wasn't there anymore. When he reached out to touch her, something in her wanted to pull back. She stopped initiating affection. Stopped reaching out first. The easy comfort they had built over a year together suddenly felt fragile. Foreign. He noticed. Of course he noticed. And here is where things got more complicated. Worried and not knowing what to do, he reached out to one of their mutual friends and asked for advice. That friend, without telling either of them, went and found an old photo of her from before the weight loss through a college acquaintance's Instagram. And shared it with the entire friend group. Suddenly her phone was blowing up. Multiple people in their circle were reaching out, some well-meaning, some completely missing the point, saying things like, "There is no way he could have known, it was a fair reaction, you shouldn't be upset." And then the one that really stung. "You knew he was into fit girls." She sat with that last one for a long time. Because she had thought he was into her. She told everyone to stay out of it. And then she turned to her boyfriend and asked him why he had brought other people into something so private. He became furious, not at her, but at what his friend had done. He started crying. He told her he didn't want to lose her. That he didn't know what else to do. That he was desperate. She tried to tell him it was fine. And he stopped her. He said, "I know it's not fine. Because you don't look at me like you love me anymore." And that is where she is right now. Stuck between knowing he is a good person, and not being able to unsee that look on his face. She is not an overly sensitive person. She says herself that she is pretty thick-skinned when it comes to comments about her body. She has heard things before. She has moved on before. But this is different. Because this wasn't a stranger. This wasn't someone who didn't matter. This was the person who held her hand. Who told her she was beautiful. Who she let in completely, without the armor she used to wear everywhere. And in one unguarded moment, when he had no idea she was watching, she saw exactly what he thought. People keep telling her, "He didn't know it was you." But that is almost the point, isn't it? He didn't know it was her. Which means that was his real, unfiltered, honest reaction to someone who looked the way she used to look. And the girl she used to be, she still lives somewhere inside her. She hasn't disappeared just because the number on the scale changed. So when he looked at that screen with disgust, some part of her felt like he was looking at her. She ends her post by saying she doesn't want to lose him. That they were happy. That people are allowed to have preferences and types. But also quietly, almost like she is ashamed to admit it, she says, "I thought he was into me." And she is asking, how do I get over this? Honestly, the answer is not simple. Because this isn't really about forgiveness. She doesn't hate him. She understands it was a mistake. This is about trust. About safety. About whether she can ever feel fully seen by someone who, even for just a moment, looked at who she used to be and recoiled. That is not something flowers fix. That is not something a single apology fixes. That is something the two of them would need to work through slowly, honestly, probably with the help of a counselor, if they want to come out the other side of this still together. And whether she chooses to do that work, that is entirely up to her. If you have ever had a moment where someone accidentally showed you who they really were, you know exactly how she feels.